Hi there. This is an old folk song called There's a Hole in a Bucket. And you need Liza and you need Henry. They're talking back and forth with each other. You also need your F chord, which is your thumb on the back, first finger on the second string, first fret, second finger on the fourth string, second fret. Sounds beautiful, and there it is, okay? There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, a hole. Well then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Fix it. With what shall I mend it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I mend it, dear Liza? With what? Well, with a straw, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With a straw, dear Henry, dear Henry, a straw. The straw is too long, dear Liza, dear Liza. The straw is too long, dear Liza, too long. Well, cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Well, cut it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Cut it. With what shall I cut it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I cut it, dear Liza? With what? With an axe, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With an axe, dear Henry, dear Henry. With an axe. Well, the axe is too dull, dear Liza, dear Liza. The axe is too dull, dear Liza, too dull. Well, hone it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Well, hone it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Hone it. On what shall I hone it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I hone it, dear Liza? On what? On a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. On a stone, dear Henry, dear Henry. On a stone. But the stone is too dry, dear Liza, dear Liza. The stone is too dry, dear Liza, too dry. With, well then, wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Well, wet it, dear Henry, dear Henry. Wet it. Here it comes now. With what shall I wet it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I wet it, dear Liza? With what? Try water, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Try water, dear Henry, dear Henry. Try water. In what shall I get it, dear Liza, dear Liza? With what shall I get it, dear Liza? With what? In a bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. In a bucket, dear Henry, dear Henry. In a bucket. But there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, dear Liza. There's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, a hole. Starts all over again.